Hello, and welcome to Rebuild Scenarios, where we take a team and rebuild the roster using 3 different transfer strategies, send them through career mode, and see which one of the 3 is the best for the team moving forward. Today, we're doing my favorite team, Manchester United. For this team, we'll first do the most realistic scenario, which is Ed Woodward drags his feet chasing Jadon Sancho, doesn't even end up signing him, and then panic signs someone at the last second. Then, for the second scenario, we'll pretend that we actually have a competent director of football personnel and actually get the players that all he needs to challenge on multiple fronts. And then for the final scenario, it is admittedly purely fantasy. Something that realistically only has like a 1% chance of happening, if that, but it's been a rough year, so let a fan base dream. If you are excited to see these 3 different scenarios play out for Manchester United, go ahead, take your hard erect nibble, smush the like button right now, subscribe if you are new. But regardless of the scenario, first, let's take a top-down view and overlook at the roster and see where we need strengthening. First area of interest is wingers. Now, as of recording this, Mason Greenwood has just put pen to paper on a new contract, so he's going to be here for a long time. Marcus Rashford should probably permanently be installed on the left side, and then behind him, you have the likes of Daniel James, who is decent depth, and then you have Amad Diallo, who's a youngster they brought in, who's apparently just super hyped, could be the next big thing. Could not, but with Greenwood getting a new contract, I just don't really see the point of going in for Jadon Sancho anymore. Like, yes, he definitely would be an upgrade over any of the players that we have to play on the wing right now. And Mason Greenwood, who looked sensational after Project Restart, has fallen back to earth in this new campaign. That being said, I do think we can get by with the likes of Mason Greenwood. I do have faith that he will return to form, and he'll probably never reach the heights of Jadon Sancho, but he does have the potential to become something very comparable. I would argue that the more pressing need for this team is finding someone truly to lead the line. Finding goals out of the striker position has been a rare thing for Manchester United this season, and one could argue if they had a more consistent goal scorer up front, they might actually still be at top of the table. And let's be honest, Manchester United has been a revolving door at striker since Rooney left. Ibrahimovic, Lukaku, Martial, Ighalo, Rashford, Greenwood, and now Cavani. All of them have tried, and none of them were able to hold down the spot for more than 1 or 2 seasons. Now, Cavani has not been bad this season, but his contract is out at the end of the year. So if we are playing out the scenario like we're going into the transfer window this summer, we have to identify and find a striker who's, a 20-goal season type guy. And then behind Cavani, you have Anthony Martial, who looked unbelievable after Project Restart, just basically just dicing and slicing every single defense he went up against. And then this season, he's looked pretty much like shit. Very little movement, sloppy passing in the final third. And as much as I love him, it might be time to move on from Anthony Martial. He just cannot be relied upon. Midfield. It's definitely probably one of the stronger points of this team, but could definitely use upgrades depth-wise. Bruno Fernandes. What else can you say about this kid? He is the jewel. He is the engine that makes Manchester United run. He has been their best signing for the past decade and is basically everything they thought Paul Pogba was going to be, but for half the price tag. Less than half the price tag, actually. Speaking of Pogba, big question throughout all 3 of these scenarios is, do you sell Paul Pogba or do you keep him? His time at United has had more ups and downs than GameStop stock, but I think most people agree that since Bruno Fernandes has come to the club, Paul Pogba seems a lot more motivated. His play has been a little bit more consistent. Now, the third midfield spot is the one that's in flux. Now, I know Fred has a lot of fans, but he can be a little bit inconsistent and careless with the ball at times. McTominay, aka Mick Sauce, has been improving year on year, and I think he'd be a very, very solid player for years to come. Will he ever be a world beater? Probably not, but you could definitely envision him as more of the, the Jordan Henderson of this team, if you will. Just a solid glue guy, and a guy you can win trophies with. And then you have the aging but still serviceable Matic. I think definitely finding a replacement comparable to him would be a high priority. And then you have the enigma that is Donny van der Beek. Van der Beek was probably the most high-profile signing of the summer, and so far he has yet to really make an impact with the club, but he has rarely had any playtime. It's tough because probably his best position is where Bruno Fernandes plays, and then his next best position is where Paul Pogba plays. And then defensively, he is not as stout as McTominay, Fred, or Matic. That being said, it's been 1 season. I think everyone should calm down with the whole flop labels. He was an extremely promising player at Ajax, and usually, if you come from Ajax, you turn out to be pretty damn good. Now, moving on to fullbacks, this has probably been the most surprising thing of this current season for Manchester United. Looking back a year ago, I think people identified the fullbacks as probably the weakest part of this Manchester United team. Luke Shaw has always been inconsistent, but now, whether it be he's finally healthy or the motivation of them going ahead and bringing in Alex Telles, Luke Shaw has been unbelievable this season. He's arguably one of the best fullbacks in the Premier League. He's easily the most improved player on this Manchester United team. And now, honestly, if it wasn't for Bruno Fernandes, he would be Manchester United's player of the season. And then at the right back position, you have Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who we brought in last season. Defensively, there's never been any question. He's one of the best defensive fullbacks in the world. But last season, going forward, Aaron Wan-Bissaka was useless. He couldn't cross the ball, he couldn't shoot, he very rarely contributed pretty much anything offensively. This season, though, he's vastly improved. He's gotten a lot of assists, he's linking up better on that right side, and he's actually scored a couple of goals, including this screamer. My God, not a bad first goal to score in your career. And then behind them for depth, you have the likes of Telles, Brandon Williams, and Tuanzebe, who are all very serviceable. So all of a sudden, fullback went from one of the weakest positions, and in one season is now arguably one of their strongest. And then we get to the much maligned center backs. Now, Harry Maguire, when he was signed, was the most expensive center back ever signed, like ever. And has he been worth that money? No. Okay, I'm a Manchester United fan, and I will freely admit, was he worth $80 million? No. Has he been awful? Also, no. He's been fine. He's been above average. I think most fans will admit the problem is the other center back, be it Lindelof, be it Bailly. Both of them maddeningly inconsistent. Personally, I prefer Bailly. On his game, he looks like an all-world center back. The issue is like 1 in 4 games, he just loses his mind or gets injured. So finding a settled back four is a very high priority for this team, and there just so happens to be a couple of high-profile center backs that are on the market this year. Sergio Ramos is out of contract and apparently looking to get out of Real Madrid. David Alba is also out of contract. And let's be honest, either one would be a massive upgrade over both Lindelof and Bailly. And somehow Phil Jones is still on this team. I miss his faces. And now a keeper for the first time in almost like 2 decades, there's a little bit of competition. We have the incumbent David De Gea, who's been fantastic for the past decade, although he has seen a notable dip in form over the last season and a half. And now he faces challenges from a possible future England #1 in Dean Henderson. Henderson had a very promising loan out to Sheffield United, and in his sparse appearances this season has been relatively good. So the question is, do you move on from David De Gea and go younger and cheaper in Dean Henderson? So in review, I think the #1 priority is finding a striker that can get us 20 goals a season minimum. Second highest priority is finding a center back to pair alongside Maguire and Wan-Bissaka. And then third down the list is providing better depth in the midfield, maybe getting an upgrade to Scott McTominay, Fred, or selling Paul Pogba and upgrading those 2 positions. So with those 3 main priorities in mind, let's go ahead, hop into career mode and play out our first scenario, which is going to be the realistic scenario. All right, we're going to choose this guy because he looks the most like Ollie. All right, for this one, we'll just do everything default. All right, so for this first scenario, we're playing it out as if we are indeed Ed Woodward. I can see we have a budget of $184 million. This is without any type of financial takeover. And if I'm going to predict what Woodward is going to do this summer, it's this. Call me BMOnus if this actually happens. But I predict he spends the entirety of the summer chasing both Erling Haaland and Jadon Sancho. He's going to go in there and he's going to lowball the shit out of them. Just $100 million. Dortmund is going to come back with something crazy. As you can see right here, 180 million. And we're basically just going to go back and forth with them until we are 3 days away from transfer deadline day. And when it becomes abundantly clear that we're not able to sign either Sancho or Haaland, then we're going to go into panic buy mode. And the man he's going to settle on is a man that we've had interest with. He was rumored to be brought in a couple of seasons ago, and he's been having a fantastic season so far for Everton. So actually, I wouldn't be too mad at this if we brought in Calvin Lewin. Still young, 23 years of age. He's strong enough. He's nice and tall. He's fast enough for the counterattack. And the last time Manchester United signed a young striker from Everton, it worked out. With 41 million here, probably gonna go for 50. What? They want Luke Shaw and 40. Get out of here. Let me propose 53. All right, reasonable offer. We're going to bring in Calvin Lewin. So that is sorted. Next on the agenda is finding a new center back to replace Lindelof and Bailly. And the biggest name to be rumored moving to Manchester United is Sergio Ramos. Been a couple of reports that he is interested in Manchester United. But being a Manchester United fan for a long time, I know this story. Everyone and their mama is always linked with a move to Manchester United, and 99% of the time, it's usually to get a new contract at their current club. Now, it does seem that Ramos is really on his way out of Real Madrid. And would I love him at Manchester United? Of course! But with Ed Woodward handling transfers, I just don't think that this is going to happen. Most likely, he ends up at PSG or Juventus or somewhere else in Spain. Same thing with David Alba. Would love him on the squad, but far more likely, I think he ends up across the street at Man City, reunited with Pep Guardiola. No. Sadly, I think what happens is Ed Woodward tries to sign these 2 players, but ends up not working out. And more likely, we're going to probably go in for another younger, cheaper, and high potential prospect. Now, last summer we were heavily linked with a move for Upamecano, but recently it has come out that it's all but confirmed that he is going to be moving to Bayern Munich. Once again, Ed Woodward drags his feet and we lose another talent. Honestly, we got so lucky with Bruno Fernandes. That dude just fell into our lap. So if we can't get Upamecano, why not go ahead and get his partner in Konate? Also plays for RB Leipzig, also very promising, 6'4", or pick up the likes of Jules Koundé. I don't know if that's how you properly pronounce his name, but hyper young, 21 years of age, and Koundé has been having a very strong season at Sevilla this year, so let's approach to buy him. Honestly, let's do a player swap. Want one of our center backs? Here, take Lindelof, and 40 million. Get this man off of my club. That's a comfortable deal, and they'll take it. Suckers. Idiots. Some good business. All right, we wait a couple of days, and both Dominic Calvert-Lewin has accepted our offer, so come on down and run the jewels, Mr. Koundé. He's going to join Manchester United as well. And then in true Ed Woodward fashion, on nearly deadline date, let's go ahead and make one last panic signing. And the player we're going to go in for is a player that we've been linked with for a while. He's been having a very good season. I've actually really enjoyed watching Aston Villa play this year. But we've long been linked with Mr. Jack Grealish. I don't know why. Yes, he's a fantastic player, but primarily he plays on the left wing where we already have Marcus Rashford, and then his other top position is he plays cam. And he is a fantastic playmaker, I must admit, but we already have Bruno Fernandes. So I don't see the logic behind buying him, which means Ed Woodward is definitely going to buy him. Do you want to pay the 97 million? I kind of want to just say yes, because I think Ed Woodward would be this fucking stupid to pay 97 million for Jack Grealish, but no. Let's pay 65 fucking million for Jack Grealish. That sounds about Woodward. 80 million? All right, maybe let's propose a player swap. Yeah, I guess we can move on from Mr. Mata over here. Propose the 70. All right, realistic offer. Since it's deadline day, he's got us by the balls. We got to negotiate. Think like Woodward. Think like Woodward. These wage demands are unacceptable. I cannot allow a player to play for 84,000. I only sign players to 200K a week contracts. I hope this is amenable to you, Mr. Grealish. Oh my God. I'm afraid that's a little too high. We'd be willing to increase our offer to 184. It was a little too high, so we doubled it. Classic Woodward tactics. So to recap, we brought in 3 players. Jack Grealish for 70 million. We moved Juan Mata off. Brought in Jules Koundé for 40 million. We moved Lindelof off. And then we signed Calvert-Lewin for 53 million. For a total of 160 million spent on players that have potential but are not exactly world class. Or they could be a colossal waste of money. And Manchester United toil in like 2nd or 3rd place for another couple years. So how will this revamped team do in the Premier League? Well, we'll see that at the end of the video. I'm actually going to go through all 3 of the scenarios first, and then we'll play out all 3 pretty much simultaneously so you can kind of compare and contrast a lot easier. So on that note, let's move on to the second scenario. All right, for scenario 2, let's say we actually have a sensible transfer policy. The owners of Manchester United are buoyed by their sweet Super Bowl win because they're also the owner of the Bucks. And with the current season being pretty promising, let's say encouraged by this progress, the Glazers open up the coffers and we're going to have a total of 300 million to go ahead and try to build a team to challenge on multiple fronts. So there you go. In the transfer budget, we're starting off with 300 euros this time. And because we have this extra money, I thought I'd make it a little bit extra spicy. And another reason why they have opened up their coffers is to compete. Because in this scenario, Lionel Messi has moved over to Manchester City. Reuniting with Pep Guardiola, he's going to fit pretty much into the same system he was playing at the peak of his powers at Barcelona. Terrifying. And Manchester United and the Glazers don't open up the coffers. You could probably say curtains on winning anything in the Premier League for at least the next 3 to 4 seasons. Now, since Man City has Messi, I think this would kind of turn the Premier League into an arms race. Logically, you have to go for firepower. Our biggest weakness is the striker position, and there is no better striker in the Premier League than Harry Kane. Tottenham, while starting off very strong, is now kind of in tatters. You gotta be thinking, for Harry Kane, is he getting a little bit frustrated at the lack of progression at the club, and could he be tempted to move away for a big money move over to Manchester United? And they're guesstimating that he'd be probably worth somewhere in between 155 million and 218 million. And then to corral Messi, who better than a man who knows him oh so well in Sergio Ramos, who's gone up against him in numerous El Clasicos. He's going to be available on a free, and if I were the one making the decisions, I would throw so much money at him. But hear me out. I'd sleep on it, and I'd realize that I think in this scenario, if Man City were to buy Messi, that Harry Kane and Sergio Ramos would be a bit of wasted money. Like, yes, you probably have the firepower to compete with them, but that is Lionel Messi on the other side. And as good as Sergio Ramos and Harry Kane are, they're not GOAT status. I'm sorry. They just aren't. But with Lionel being at age 33, next year he's going to be 34, how many truly dominant seasons does he have in him left? So instead, in this scenario, I think we're going to look past the likes of Harry Kane. We're going to look past the likes of Sergio Ramos. And instead, I think the transfer policy that I would pursue is to go young. This Manchester United side is fairly young. The core of their talent is fairly young. You got Rashford in his young 20s, McTominay in his young 20s, Pogba and Fernandes are in their mid 20s, Greenwood's still a teenager, and Wan-Bissaka is pretty young. And they're all very promising. The issue is that youth takes a little bit of time to mature. But if you can get all of your top tier talent to mature at the same time, to peak at the same time, that's how you make dynasties. So in this scenario, instead of spending big on players that can make an immediate impact, I instead plan for 2 to 3 years in the future. When Messi's play inevitably starts to decline, when maybe Pep Guardiola gets bored of Man City and moves on, and with 2 to 3 more seasons of seasoning on the likes of Marcus Rashford, on Mason Greenwood. You know, Bruno is only going to get better. You could be looking at the next generational dominant team. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and try to build for the next decade. In purchasing the man that we should have purchased last goddamn year, Erling Haaland. Yes, a lot of fanfare has been said. We heavily pursued him. He said no to us pretty much twice and instead opted to go to Borussia Dortmund. Now, Ollie has a relationship with him. He's coached him before. He has a relationship with his dad. And I do believe that partially the reason why he went to Dortmund instead of Manchester United is because Dortmund is more renowned for developing young talent. He was going to get playtime over at Dortmund. Now, if he were to come over to Manchester United, he'd be the first choice striker. He'd get all the minutes. He'd probably only play at Manchester United for 3 to 4 seasons and then move on to the likes of Barcelona or Real Madrid. But even then, however much we pay, the next team, the Real Madrids, the Barcelonas, they're going to pay even more. You got to spend money to make money. And you're going to have arguably the most exciting youngster in world football playing in the theater of dreams. So with that, let's go ahead and for the second time, try to get Erling Haaland. And I think the other big factor that a lot of people are talking about is Borussia Dortmund might be forced to sell him this summer, as Dortmund are looking less and less likely that they're actually going to make it into the Champions League. Haaland will probably not be too pleased. I'm sure he wants to be playing Champions League at his age. And Dortmund missing out on that Champions League money, that's a huge contract right there. And with Corona putting financial strife on a lot of clubs, it's not out of the question that they might opt for, $100 million for the kid. If I were Manchester United, I would go to the Glazers and I would tell them, 130. Don't dick around. Sign him first goddamn thing. Bring him in. And they're going to say 146. I'm not even going to counter. Boom. 150 euros. I don't give a fuck. Whatever it goddamn takes to get this kid to Manchester United, I'm signing the check. Because as I said before, if he costs 150 now, he's probably going to cost 200 when we sell him. And to make the pot even sweeter, 300 to 400k a week. Keep the kid happy. And then we got to go ahead and strengthen at center back. Instead of going for Ramos, we're going to go in for Nicolas Sula, who has said in the press that it would be a dream move to play at Manchester United. He's very young, 24 years of age, and he's one of the faster center backs in the Bundesliga, which would definitely help him with some of the faster players in the Prem. And pairing a more pacey center back with the sturdier Maguire, I think would complement their skill sets pretty well and have a nice, relatively young core in the defense. And also, with them bringing in Upamecano, he might be a little bit stretched for playtime, so I could definitely see him moving on this summer. Let's go ahead and offer a player swap. I'm just going to go Anthony Martial. There have been links between Martial and Bayern for a while. They went 19 million and Anthony Martial. I must say, I love Martial, but he's just been too inconsistent. He's had enough time at the club to prove himself, and I do wish him the best. And I do think going to a club like Bayern could definitely help his career. So I'm wishing him all the best. Anthony Martial and 10 million to pick up Nicolas Sula, an upgrade at the center back position. And last but not least, I would kind of want to upgrade in that midfield at that CDM role. I've always been very fond of Ndidi. Every time I watch him play, I always come off really impressed, and Leicester have been doing very well this season, no doubt in part to the likes of this man. At the age of 23, he's going to be able to grow with his young core as well. Dear God, they went 72 million for him. That is a pretty penny. All right, come on, guy. 52? That's a more realistic. All right, we just saved 20 million. Jesus. And with that, let's go ahead, bring him in. Boom, boom, and boom. This is the side that I'll be rocking with. Still David De Gea in between the sticks. Backline of Wan-Bissaka, Nicolas Sula, Harry Maguire, and Luke Shaw. Very, very solid. Ndidi would sit in kind of the deeper defensive role, which will allow Pogba and Fernandes to roam and get forward. And then already one of the most potent counter-attacking forces in Europe, is now going to have a terrifying front three of Marcus Rashford, Erling Haaland, and Mason Greenwood. And then behind them, you got the likes of Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba feeding them the rock. David De Gea, I'd probably give way to Dean Henderson just because I'm building this core for 3 years from now, not right now. And even this season, it'll be interesting to see where they end up in the table. Tell me this isn't going to be must-watch football every single time you see it. We might not win the league because Lionel Messi's on the other side, but goddamn it, we're going to have fun. So the review for this one, we moved on from Nemanja Matic. We brought in Ndidi for about 50 million. Moved on from Anthony Martial and brought in Nicolas Sula for about 10 million. And then we broke the bank on Erling Haaland for 150 million. And even with that business, maybe I didn't need the extra 100 million because as you can see, I still have 100 million left over that I could fortify the squad with, but I don't think we're going to revamp the squad that much. Bringing in too many players can be a detriment to the team chemistry. So for now, I'm going to leave this as scenario 2, what I would do if I was in charge of transfer policies at Manchester United. All right, and for the last case scenario, I wanna do something crazy. This is going to be both the dream scenario for Manchester United and the nightmare scenario for Manchester United. Let me explain. In this timeline, the 2 best young talents in the world are going to go ahead and join the 2 most hated rivals of Manchester United. Kylian Mbappe, there have been rumors of him maybe moving to Liverpool, and in this scenario, that's exactly what's going to happen. Mbappe, Sadio Mane, and Salah are going to be leading that front line. Terrifying. And Manchester City have been desperate to find a reliable striker over this past season. Aguero is getting up there in age, and Gabriel Jesus just isn't cutting it. So they go ahead, they splash the cash, and they pick up Erling Haaland. Maybe not the prototypical striker that Pep Guardiola likes, but he did just fine in Bayern with Robert Lewandowski, who was kind of like a bigger striker too. And Erling Haaland can pretty much do it all, and he's lightning quick on the counterattack. Both teams are already loaded with talent, depth, and 2 of the best managers in the world. If Haaland and Mbappe go to these two teams will probably be the only 2 commanders battling out for the league for the next decade. But from this nightmare, I propose a dream. All right, okay, everyone calm down. Do I think Messi would come to Manchester United over Man City? Gun to my head, gun to my dick. Hella fucking no. But hear me out. Just let me make the case for, for a fun thought experiment. And then, after you've heard me, you can call me an idiot in the comment section. But I'd like to point out that Manchester United are owned by the Glazers, who have traditionally been some stingy ninjas, let's be honest. But most notably, they are also the owners of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have been toiling in mediocrity for over the past 2 decades in the NFL. Then, last season, all of a sudden, they were able to land a GOAT-type player in Tom Brady. And when they did that, they opened up their wallets and started splashing the cash and getting some of the best free agents and mercenaries on the market. And it paid off. They ended up riding the GOAT to a Super Bowl win over the heavily favored Chiefs. So would it be a stretch to think that maybe the Glazers could see a similar strategy work for Manchester United? And is there a possible GOAT-type player that could become available this summer? And furthermore, in this scenario, if they don't sign a Lionel Messi or some big ticket purchase, then you are looking at another decade playing second fiddle to City. And slowly but surely, you begin to become the noisy neighbor. So because of all those factors, in this scenario, and if I were the Glazers, I would break the goddamn bank on Lionel Messi. So let's do that right now. Let's approach to buy. Right now, in career mode, he's listed as his worth is around 103, but if all reports are to be believed, Barcelona says it's going to take 600 to 700 million to prime away. No one is going to be able to financially afford that, so they're thinking more along the lines of somewhere 200 million. So that's what we're going to do right here. 220 million for the GOAT himself, Lionel Messi, to lure him to the theater of dreams. What do you say, Barcelona? They say that's a reasonable offer. All right, come to the table, Mr. Lionel. Let's give him something insane. He's on $500,000 now. Let's raise it up to 750,000 euros a week. To be honest, this isn't going to be his first choice, so we got to dangle a pretty big carrot in front of him. And he gets to prove himself in one of the toughest leagues in Europe. Now, it's not like we just got this player completely for free. In the scenario, we're going to have to sell off a lot of guys. As you can see, we moved on Paul Pogba over to Real Madrid, supposedly for probably get around 90 to 100 million for him, I think. Then we moved on from Anthony Martial, who we sold over to Bayern Munich, probably for around, 60 million. And then moved on some other names like Juan Mata to Valencia, probably at 15 million there. Moved Matic over to Inter. They love an old Manchester United player. And with that money, we're going to do the same thing the Buccaneers did and pick up some of the best free agents available. Sergio Ramos had a contract, so we're going to go ahead and grab a deal for him. Luka Modric, although it's rumored that pretty much he's going to have a contract extension over at Real Madrid for 2 more years. Let's just say in this scenario, scenario, there's a little bit of funny business with his contract, and we snatch him up as well. And Marek Hamšík will probably be on the market during the same time after his 2-year stint in China. So let's go ahead and bring them in. And I think this is how we would set up. Messi, essentially, maybe in a, false 9 center forward position. You got Greenwood and Rashford flanking him, providing pace. And then behind him in the midfield, you have a delicious pairing of Bruno Fernandes and Luka Modric. CDM position, it could be a little bit of a rotation. You could have Hamšík there, you could have Fred, McTominay. That CDM position might be an area that we could look to upgrade. Backline is going to be very stout now. You got Aaron Wan-Bissaka alongside the likes of Sergio Ramos, who should help organize the back. Harry Maguire is solid enough. Luke Shaw has been fantastic this season. And we're going to keep David De Gea in the scenario for 1 more year, maybe 2. Just as long as Messi's here, it is very much win now. So I don't want to take the risk of moving on from De Gea and betting on Dean Henderson. 1 more purchase is probably smart here. We could go the younger route. We've been linked with Declan Rice. He's been having a fantastic season for West Ham. Or do we go kind of oldies but goodies? I think out of these 4, I'm going to go Axel Witsel. He's a very solid player. He has leadership, veteran presence, and he's like just good all around, nice and tall too, can win a couple of headers. For a transfer fee of, let's say, 30, and then for your weekly wages, let's give you 100K. Oh, he wants 115. Look at you standing up for yourself, sure. And with that, we're gonna go ahead and bring in the veteran presence of Axel Witsel to anchor that midfield. And with that, this would be the starting lineup that we'd roll with. Definitely an entertaining front 3 to go with, 2 highly creative and adept midfielders, a pretty solid defense with a keeper that is good enough, I would say still above average. Would this be enough to win the league up against the likes of, an Mbappe-led Liverpool or Erling Haaland-led Manchester City? Maybe, but I guess we will find out. Let's go ahead and sim forward for all 3 of these scenarios and see which one was the most effective. But before we get into that, a quick word from our sponsor. Warby Parker is committed to providing exceptional vision care online and in stores, offering eyeglasses, sunglasses, eye exams, and contact lenses. Their glasses start at $95 and include prescription lenses. And with Big Rona out there, what's most amazing about Warby Parker is their home try-on kit. You can go online, you can take a quiz to see which glasses kind of fit your face best, and then you choose 5 frames, which they mail to you. You can try them on yourself, ask your friends, even DM a couple girls, ask their opinions before buying. You get to try these frames for free for 5 days, no obligations to buy. It ships to you for free and includes a prepaid return shipping label to return the glasses easily. And going through this entire process, I was surprised by how easy and hassle-free this was. And for me, the big thing is their new blue light filter lenses. With how much we're in front of screens these days, the strain on our eyes is real. And their blue light filter lenses filter more blue light than standard polycarbonate or high index lenses and can be added to each order during checkout. So try your 5 pairs of glasses at home for free. Go to Warby Parker /BMOnus. Go ahead, click the link down below. Thank you once again to Warby Parker. Now back to the show. But without further ado, let's go ahead and see how these 3 different scenarios played out. Go time wizard! Alright, first let's check out the squad at the end of the season that was the most realistic outcome. This is the outcome where we drag our feet on trying to get Erling Haaland and Sancho, and then just kind of panic sign a couple of pretty good players, but not exactly like the creme de la creme. As you see, Calvert-Lewin didn't really grow by all that much. He's 82 at the end of the season. Bruno Fernandes did get up to a 90. Jack Grealish is doing okay. Good growth by Rashford. And Wan-Bissaka getting up to an 86. And Koundé getting up to an 84. Very nice to see. Looking at the player stats in the Premier League, Jamie Vardy and Raheem Sterling go ahead and kill it. I have no idea who this person is on Everton who got 3rd place. And sadly, there is no one on Manchester United in the top 15 here. Assist-wise, a much better showing. As you see, Bruno Fernandes coming in 5th place with 8 assists, as well as Paul Pogba getting 7. And then on the clean sheets, David De Gea all the way down in 6th place. Although, apparently, Dean Henderson got a fair amount of run. He got 6 clean sheets, so combined, that would be 16 clean sheets total, which would put us tied for Alisson in 2nd place. And at the end of the season, we do end up finishing higher than Manchester City by 2 points, but we end up finishing 3rd behind Spurs. Oh, and Liverpool, check this out. They both had 87 points, and Liverpool barely eke it out with a +2 in goal differential over Tottenham. So yeah, this seems about right. I think if you flip Spurs and Manchester City, this probably is what will happen next year. 3rd or 4th place finish for Manchester United after Ed Woodward dilly-dallies. Shocking, I know. All right, let's move on to the 2nd scenario. Go time wizard! All right, reminder in this scenario, I pretty much went all youth. We broke the bank on Erling Haaland. We brought him in. He's all the way up to an 87 by the end of the season. Mason Greenwood's up to an 80. And Marcus Rashford up to an 88 again. Bruno Fernandes all the way up to a 91. Ndidi's grown by 2 points up to an 86. Paul Pogba up to an 87. Nicolas Sula holding pretty steady. I think he might have gone up by 1 or 2. And Aaron Wan-Bissaka going up to 86 again. Going over to player stat. Oh my God, what a season from goddamn Bruno Fernandes. 21 goals, winning the Golden Boot in the Premier League ahead of the likes of Sadio Mane. Although Marcus Rashford scoring 18 ties exactly alongside Salah and Mane, but right underneath them, Roberto Firmino. What a season for the front three of Liverpool. And we go over to assists, and it is Roberto Firmino who goes ahead. Well, I guess it's a tie with him and Raheem Sterling with 11 assists apiece. Sadio Mane also having a fantastic season for Liverpool as well. And no players from Manchester United in the top 15 for assists. Very selfish team, apparently. And we go over to clean sheets. Oh, I thought I had sold David De Gea in this scenario. All right, well, I guess in this one, we're going to hang on for David De Gea for one more season. And it got us 19 clean sheets, better than Alisson, better than Ederson. So my God, the young team looking pretty promising. Let's see how they did. What? How did we finish third? I thought we had a pretty good season here. But yeah, I mean, with the front three of Liverpool tallying up so many goals, so many assists, I think it was going to be quite difficult. But I thought we had a slight chance, especially with David De Gea getting 19 clean sheets. But ultimately, it was not close. Manchester United, once again, in this scenario, finishes in third place with 81 points, 2 points behind Manchester City, and Liverpool cruised to it. Absolutely a blistering 96 points. Also, I believe in the scenario, Manchester City has Messi, and he did jack shit, apparently. Yeah, Lionel Messi made only 24 appearances, contributed 7 goals and 3 assists. Basically, he was less than half of a Raheem Sterling. All right, so this doesn't bode well for my Lionel Messi assembled Manchester United squad, but they still did better than the Ed Woodward squad, who I believe only got 77 points. And remember, this squad isn't meant to win the Premier League this season. I built this youth squad to basically have something exciting to watch for the next 3 years, and then 2 seasons from now, this team is going to be electric. But all right, let's go to the last one. Go time wizard! The Lionel Messi squad, ooh, oh man, it's looking kind of rough in here, guys. My gamble on these old players did not really pay off. Lionel Messi going from, I believe, a 93 all the way down to a 91. Luka Modric went from an 87 to an 83 in 1 year. That's not great. Ramos getting down to an 86. Although there was some pretty good growth. Marcus Rashford up to an 89. Bruno Fernandes getting up to a 90. And David De Gea in his old age getting up to an 87. Well done. Burnley and Brighton are the 2 top goal scorers in this. That's very strange. First Manchester United player on here. The only Manchester United player in the top 15 is Marcus Rashford, who scored 19. Go over to assists. Raul Jimenez is the top assist leader for Wolves. We go all the way down to Bruno Fernandes in 9th place. And then we go over clean sheets. Once again, another dominant performance from David De Gea, 19 clean sheets. So yeah, there's an off chance for this one. And no! I mean, we didn't even see Erling Haaland really make a dent in this scenario, or Mbappe. Wow. Even though they had Kylian Mbappe, they refused to play him. Only 11 appearances, 2 goals, 1 assist. They played, although Roberto Firmino was fantastic. And Manchester City, kind of the same thing. They still have Sergio Aguero in this. I should have taken out Firmino and Sergio Aguero. They do play Erling Haaland for a respectable 19. He contributes 6 goals and 1 assist, but honestly, a little bit lackluster for both. Didn't matter though. I mean, this team did the best. It got 88 points, which is the highest of the 3, and it got within 5 points of winning the league. This is such a depressing rebuild scenarios for my favorite team. None of the scenarios that I came up with, even the super fantasy one, did not result in Manchester United win the league next year. So I'm gonna go stick my head in an oven. Then again, this is FIFA. The sim results are kind of always all over the place. And for those who are curious, Lionel Messi did play a fair amount, 35 matches, and contributed a respectable 9 goals and 5 assists. And another thing to note is, ever since Lionel Messi ceased being the cover athlete for FIFA, he just always seems to underperform in the simulations. Is it a little bit of bias because he then became the poster child for the direct rivals in PES? There's no solid proof of it, but my suspicion is yes. So yeah, in conclusion, if we were to do the Doctor Strange a bunch of scenarios and see which one would come out with Manchester United winning the league next year, there's not even one. There's not even one out of these 3 that would result in it. But hopefully you guys did enjoy the team building, the thought process through it. If you have any suggestions on how to improve this format, would you like to see the results maybe directly after I reveal the teams instead of saving all 3 for the very end? If you would like to see more of these for different teams in the future, maybe a Barcelona rebuild scenarios, Real Madrid, Dortmund, Spurs, Arsenal, all these different teams, let me know in the comments down below. And if you did enjoy, please click a like does help me out in the algorithm. And yeah, that's pretty much gonna be it. I had a lot of fun doing this thought experiment. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. I'd like to thank all of my patrons who are keeping the lights on, keeping me alive during the global pandemic. Thank you guys so much. If you guys would like other content from me, this is a career reason for David Beckham. And then you can go ahead and click down here if you want to see the best team that was available in FIFA 11 take on the best team that's available in FIFA 21. Good stuff. But yeah, that's going to be it for me, BMOnus. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Remember to stay yourself, stay humble. Until next time, boys, stay thick.